Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Leslie, and if you like videos on frugality and budgeting, you're in the right place. So along those lines of frugality, today we are talking about how to be frugal without depriving yourself and without just being super boring, just ways to bring frugality into your life. I'm someone who just really genuinely enjoys very frugal things, simple things, stuff that other people might refer to as boring. I'm just really easily amused, I guess. I guess I've kind of always been like that, but at the same time, I did struggle in the past with buying things, especially things I didn't need. I definitely have not always been frugal. That is something that has come about within the past couple of years. So what are the differences here between being frugal and being cheap? So I would not describe myself as cheap. Cheap is someone who does not want to spend money at all costs. And sometimes this is actually a detriment to themselves, because there are definitely times where spending a little extra money is the better thing to do. So frugality is what comes into play for that. So frugality is very intentional spending. It is spending on things that matter to you and things that you value. So it's not necessarily just not spending anything at all. It's just being very intentional and choosing where your money goes. So I've definitely had other people around me accuse me of being boring because I am someone who I tend to value home life. I like to have my hobbies. I'm very easily entertained. I'm not someone who likes to go out. So for a lot of people, they might find this kind of boring, but I don't find it boring at all. Like, I am always entertained by the things around me. One thing that always blows my mind is someone who doesn't have hobbies. Like, I cannot wrap my head around not having hobbies or not trying to build your skills or not trying to do things like that, because that is just what I fill my time with aside from being with my family. But I definitely like the way I live. I like being content with small things. I like not emptying my bank account all the time and chasing trends. So these are things that I really value about myself. I love being more frugal now, and I will tell you that being more frugal compared with how I was in the past, I definitely have a much more fulfilling life. So compared with my past life and not being frugal, I definitely prefer the way I am now, despite what other people may think. I did post a video a few months ago about not fitting in and some of those hidden costs of living this kind of life that's a little bit outside the norm, making choices that other people may not make for themselves, and things that just aren't that popular. So I will link that in the description if you're interested, and I went into a whole deep dive about all of that. So whether you are frugal by choice or by necessity, this video can definitely give you some tips on being frugal without depriving yourself. So let's get into the list. I have, I guess 6 things. I have 5 things for sure and kind of a bonus 6th point. The first point, and one thing that I do very regularly to where it is a habit now, that is to practice gratitude. So being thankful and being grateful for the things around you, being grateful for the things you have, this can really make you more okay with where you are in life. So whether you are doing this mentally, which is how I do it, when I first started, I would pick a few things each day that I'm grateful for, just say them in my head. Some people have gratitude journals. They like to write it down. That's totally fine also. Whatever really helps it sink in for you and whatever just makes the most sense to you. I know that if I had to write it down every day, I would either forget or just be too lazy, and that method just didn't really work for me. So that's why I just do it in my head, and I just come up with a few things every day. And this is one of those things that once you start doing it, you kind of just get into the habit and it becomes second nature. So even now, I don't necessarily think every day, okay, what am I grateful for today? These are just things that come to me naturally now. So appreciating the small things around you, and in some cases just romanticizing your life can help. This is one that I definitely don't do all the time, and I think some people go a little overboard with the romanticizing your life, and you definitely don't want to end up with like main character syndrome. But I think that romanticizing certain points of your life, like maybe just having a very slow morning where you're very mindful with what you're doing, where you're making your coffee, you're making your breakfast, you're doing your morning chores, you're watering your plants, whatever it is. Just, I guess, staying mindful would be the key takeaway here. That's something that can help as well, and just being grateful for the things you're able to do as you're doing it. So the second point is to redefine how you treat yourself. And by treating yourself, I mean when you give yourself a little treat, that sort of deal. So you need to redefine what that treat is going to be. So for some people, it may be something like going out and buying a designer bag, something that's really big and flashy. So you need to kind of turn this around, make it something that is more frugal. So it may be something like making a home cooked meal. It might be finishing a project that you're doing. Maybe you take a walk, maybe you go out thrifting and find a nice new piece that's secondhand and a little bit cheaper. You might even just watch a movie for some quiet time. I know with me having a kid, I get so little quiet time that one way that I treat myself is when I have those moments to myself. I'm very mindful in the moment of what I'm doing, and I will do something like watching a movie or reading or something that I can just have some peace for a minute. Or you might even want to go to the library and pick out something there, pick out a movie, pick out a book. Even though it's something that you're not keeping forever, it is a nice little treat that you can have for the next couple of weeks. So there are a lot of options like that where it's something cheap or even free that you can do to treat yourself, because treating yourself to things like that is important, and it'll keep you on the path to not just blowing money on something because you feel deprived. And along those same lines is going to be find ways to get those dopamine hits. So a lot of times people who are chronic shoppers or people who buy way too much or have a shopping addiction, they are looking for that dopamine hit that you get when you buy new things. And this is true for a lot of people. I know I definitely get that whenever I shop. I haven't been like super addicted to shopping, but it is something I've kind of struggled with. So finding something to replace that dopamine hit is so important. And I do have a whole video devoted to cheap hobbies that you can do, like budget hobbies. So I will link that below as well. That might be something to take a look at. But for me, getting that dopamine hit is usually involves hobby. So that's why that is the first one I would recommend. I find things that keep my hands busy are really good for getting that dopamine hit. So doing a crochet project or knitting or something like that. Making a new meal is sometimes helpful because I really like when I make something new and it actually turns out really good. That's always nice. Yeah, DIY projects, crafting projects, that kind of stuff is a good one. I would say generally you want to choose experiences over purchases, but I know with some things like maybe making a purchase in the short term might help if it's something you can keep using. Like I know buying some yarn, I can make a whole bunch of projects, so that might be a small expense. But things like taking a walk, something like that would be great. I'm someone who I genuinely really enjoy just going on walks, so that's why I throw that one out there sometimes. Sometimes I'll take my daughter to the park and I'll walk along the track there while she's playing at the park. Spending time with family or friends is another great one as well. So having people around you can make you feel a little better, getting that socialization. I know it's so nice when we have like a slow weekend afternoon where we can just hang out as a family. That's always really nice. If you are really wanting to scratch that itch for shopping, I highly recommend thrifting. And one thing that I would always be real bad about was scrolling and doing online shopping, because you can do it in the comfort of your own home. So I mean, obviously that's right up my alley. But one thing that I've noticed is looking at something like ThredUp or Poshmark, Depop, eBay, like some of these places, you just really need to have some restraint, because it is quite possible to get addicted to online thrifting shopping as well. So just know yourself when it comes to that and know your limits. But I find that ThredUp is a really good one for me. I love looking through this stuff on ThredUp. So that's something where even if I don't buy anything, it's fun to kind of scroll through and see what's on there. And I've gotten so picky about the clothes I buy that it's honestly pretty rare that I find something that I really like. And I tend to have some ThredUp credit anyway, because I'll buy and return, and I just return and get credit. So I usually have enough where if I see something I really, really want, I have enough credit and I can just go ahead and buy it without having to spend extra money. But that, to be honest, that doesn't happen too much where I do it that way. Usually if I'm going to spend money, it's because I'm looking for something really specific and I found it. But I did just want to throw that out there. If you still want to do a little bit of shopping, but you don't want to blow too much money, then thrifting is a great way to do it. I think thrifting in person would probably be the best option for you. But the thrift stores, there aren't that many thrift stores that are really close to me. They're all like at least a 20-minute drive, maybe 30 minutes. And I just don't feel like driving that far to go to a thrift store, because The traffic is just so bad around here. And honestly, it's just not worth it. But everything around here is just so busy. There's so many people. But so that's why I usually just do online. But anyway, something that plays off that as well. I have my notes if you hear me flipping through my notebook. I don't know why lately I've just been wanting to do notes in an actual notebook instead of my iPad. Sometimes it's just nice to actually write stuff. But the next thing is going to be mindful spending. So like I said, this is really the foundation for frugality. That is spending money very intentionally. So you want to focus on what really brings you joy and what you actually like. So you need to be careful about letting marketing teams and algorithms decide what you like. So you know how sometimes you might see a trend and in the beginning you're like, oh, I don't like that. That's so ugly. And then as time goes, you see it more and more and more. And eventually you really start to like it, or at least think you like it, when really you're just getting used to seeing it. So that's something to watch out for as well. Think to yourself, like, how did I feel about this when I first saw it? Is this something that I'm really going to be into? So just ask yourself questions like that. And then you can also ask yourself, do I have something else that can fill this need? So is this something that I could borrow from someone else? Do I have something at home already? Is this something I can make? Maybe you're just shopping because you're bored and there's something else you can do to fill that boredom. So that's a good one also. And also another thing to keep in mind is if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And I do this with clothing all the time, and it's probably the #1 game changer that I've used when building my wardrobe back up. So buying clothes was a big one that I used to struggle with, because I would buy things more for like my fantasy self, or things that I actually did think were cute, but it's stuff that I wouldn't normally wear because because it didn't fit right, or I didn't have the right opportunity to wear it, all of that. So I am very careful now with clothing. I really think it through, like, is this something that's actually comfortable? How does it fit? Where am I going to wear it? How often am I going to wear it? How am I going to take care of it? Like, is this a dry clean only situation? Because I don't want any of that. So these are just things to consider. And one thing that I've seen other people do is to keep a journal of items that you were planning to buy and that you didn't buy. So you could write down the item and the amount, and then you can look back and see all the things that you were going to buy that you actually didn't buy. And sometimes it can be really eye-opening. So I don't keep an actual journal, but on Amazon, I use the save to later function a lot and wish lists. So sometimes I will go back and look at my save for later items or my wish list items and be like, what was I thinking? Why did I even want this? Like, it's just like a graveyard of things that I should have never even wanted, and I'm glad I didn't buy them. So sometimes it can be nice to go back and look and see just how much money you saved by not buying some of this. And it's really motivating for future purchases too, because I can be like, hey, is this just another item that I'm going to be glad I didn't buy? Like, should I really buy this? And it's just another thing to kind of make you pause and see if you really need something. Another thing that I've noticed is really nice about being frugal is, and I guess boring, is that small wins have a really big payoff. So thrifting a $20 blazer is just as satisfying, if not more satisfying, than buying a new blazer for like $150, $200. So not only did I save a lot of money, I searched around for that blazer to find one that was pre-owned, and I found one. So you have that, like, the thrill of the hunt kind of thing. So I was able to find it for a good price. It fits, it's secondhand, it's better for the environment. It's just all around a win. So I got really even a bigger win and saved so much money in the process. And also just free things like finishing a craft project or having a new meal that worked out. Just all of these things are just big wins for me. So it's really important to find affordable ways to feel good and just never feel bad about that. Like, never feel that things that other people might find boring or that don't really matter to them, just don't let that get to you. Sometimes I can't believe how many people are like judgmental about people who are frugal, and not even cheap, but just frugal. So I guess this whole video is to kind of encourage you a bit, much like that other video I made about not fitting in, because this is something I deal with a lot. And I'm at that point where I don't really care that much about what other people think. And I really hope you're at that point too, because once you get there, it's just so nice to do whatever you want. So number 6 is kind of more of a bonus, but if you are struggling at all, make sure you take a break from social media and the internet in general. Go outside, touch grass, look at the people around you, just bring yourself back to reality, because social media for sure is not reality. It can really cause you to compare yourself even more than you might do in your daily life. So it can really make it hard if you are someone who struggles a lot with shopping or just spending money on things. Social media is just not a great place to be. But I do understand why you might want to be on like YouTube or social media in general. If you can have kind of a, especially on YouTube, like a playlist that's more of a safe space for you, things that don't encourage you to go out and spend, things that really reflect your values. Like I know for me, I really like tiny homes. I don't know if I could ever live in one, but I love seeing people's tiny homes, and it's just like comfort watches to me. So I have a tiny homes playlist on my YouTube channel, just like a private one for myself, where if I'm ever like just in need of like a comfort watch kind of thing, I will just watch tiny houses. So if you can find things like that, or like de-influencing videos, those are pretty good. But the only thing with those is you're still going to be seeing what trends are out there. So you're still going to be having some of these trends reflected back at you. So I would say be kind of cautious about those when they're talking about really specific things and specific trends. But you might want to watch more videos just on other people who are frugal, or like some of those vlogs of people who have like homesteads or things like that. I always just like watching that stuff because it reflects like where I would want to be. So this one was a little bit shorter than some of my other videos, but I just wanted to throw all of this out there because it's something that I've been thinking about lately. And I'm sure some of you might be in the same boat where you feel a little judged, or maybe people accuse you of being boring. I would love to hear from you, by the way. If you deal with any of this, let me know in the comments, because I'm curious. I don't know if it's just where I live, because New Jersey is not exactly known for being a frugal state. So it might just be where I live, because when I lived in Ohio and Kentucky, like it wasn't like this. People were a lot more like low key. I don't know. It's definitely a different atmosphere. So let me know. And yeah, just drop me a like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.